Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarterfan podcast, where we bring you behind the veil, sports, business, and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
You made it back. You made it back from North Carolina.
Yeah, I made it back in one piece.
I'm glad to hear that. I knew I was smelling some oil and some engine and smoke fumes. I said, he must be back. He must be back from NASCAR. He must be back. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Had a good time?
Yeah. So, all right. So, in light of the Edmonton Oilers making it to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 18 years, I'm going to talk about a woman who has been called the female Wayne Gretzky, and her name is Vicky Sunohara. And she was born in Scarborough, Ontario, and her father was Japanese and her mother was Ukrainian. Now that's diversity. Okay.
That's true.
Her father played college hockey, and he taught her how to skate when she was 2.5. I mean, these hockey players, they learn how to skate before they learn how to walk.
It's true.
Okay. She was a standout in high school, and she led the school in scoring, and they went to the ECAC championship in her freshman year.
Oh, wow.
That earned her a full scholarship to Northeastern. And yeah, she went there, and it seems like everywhere this girl went, she's won. So she went there for 2 years, and then she went to the University of Toronto, and they won the Ontario University Athletics Championship. So, and she excelled in international competition throughout Canada, and she was a 3-time Olympic medalist. And and I believe 98 was the first year that they introduced women's hockey to the Olympics. So, and then she won a total of 18 medals as a member of the Canadian national team. And she's credited with expanding the popularity of women's hockey. And in 2011, she was named the head coach of the University of Toronto. And in 20, she led them to the championship. So as it stands now, they say she could become the first female to break the gender barrier and become an NHL head coach.
According to her track record, she looked like she's in line for that. Because them Canadians are crazy about hockey. They're crazy.
Oh, that's like the national sport up there.
It really is.
Yeah. So what's Coach Prime talking about now?
Man, listen to me, Joe. Coach Prime is changing the whole landscape of college football. I mean, he's just changing it. I mean, the media part of it, with his son telling his own story, the training of the young men, the academic training. I mean, he's really setting these kids up who are about it to really succeed, whether they play in the NFL or not. And the NFL is almost becoming like an option because they're getting such a level of exposure, and then he's allowing them to practice it. Like they had this one guy he calls the governor. Like this kid is going to be one day the governor of Colorado. So he actually is giving him. They've created a platform as the buff governor, talking about what concerns them, college football, like he is giving a State of the Union address, and it's just amazing. And he created something called the OGs, or the OBs, the original Buffaloes who were there when he got there and who remained. And it's just amazing to see how he's developing these young men. He's done a whole thing with the military and building team unity and sacrifice. I mean, it's just an amazing process that he's doing and showing on sports, And one of the things I had been telling a couple people, and I said, this whole landscape for these high school kids is totally different now. They really don't understand the portal. They don't understand. They don't understand because a lot of kids are jumping in the portal and assuming that you're going to get picked up. No. So what happens to you then? Either you got to eat craw and hopefully go back, or you end up nowhere.
Okay? Yeah.
This is a very tricky landscape with kids and parents and understanding because it's a different landscape now because young people can move and there's money. It's like free agency. You know how players test the waters or they said, nah, let me take this contract and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? This is the level that these kids got to really assess. And like I was telling the person in the conversation, I said, for all intents and purposes, if you're about going to the NFL, the number one place I would go play is Colorado. Because in Colorado, I got a chance to get into the league 4 different ways. And he was like, what are you talking about? I could get drafted. My coach is a Hall of Famer, so he has relationships in and out of the league. He knows all the GMs, the scouts, right, who are there drafting a number of his players into the league. So if I'm an owner, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to get a kid that may be able to step on the field and be ready today, as opposed to 2 and 3 years. See, it's a different landscape now. Even in the NBA, even in the WNBA, what I'm going to talk about, it's a different landscape now. If you are prepared to play now, you can get paid right now. It ain't like 3-4 years. No, it's not that world anymore because the money is so big, Joe. So, in conclusion, Coach Prime is really teaching those who pay attention of how to have options, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the NFL and something else in corporate or whatever skill you develop while you're there. Because think about the shine that you're getting at Colorado. And I get your resume. Oh, you play for the University of Colorado football? Oh, yeah. yeah. We're going to hire you. Mabel, tell the rest of the applicants we're done for today. Why? Because they've been watching for 1, 2, 3, 4 years of what's going on in Colorado. They see that these young men are basically coached up to perform and step in to lead. Lead. You know what I mean? Right. On and off the field. So it's a beautiful thing to see. So I just wanted to, I got to talk about Coach Prime. I got to talk about, I got to. What you got going over there, NASCAR?
Well, Major League Baseball has done something remarkable. They've incorporated the stats from the Negro Leagues into the Major League record books. So what that means is that puts Josh Gibson at the top of all the hitting categories.
Jeez.
I mean, he had a lifetime 372 batting average, a 718 slugging percentage, a single season batting average of 466. And he had a 974 slugging percentage for 1 year. That becomes now the Major League record. Okay. And other Negro Leaguers benefited from this too. Willie Mays got 10 extra hits added to his total. Jackie Robinson got 49 hits added to his total. Satchel Paige got 28 wins added to his total. And his 1.01 ERA puts him third best in Major League history.
Jeez.
So, all of these stats and research, they went into Major League Baseball finally righting a wrong due to just straight up racism.
That's all.
Bottom line, you know. So now, hopefully, generations will be able to know the names of these players, you know, and know what their greatness and what they achieved. And yeah, so and Major League Baseball is also expanding the financial aid programs to the living Negro leaguers that are left. So you know, it'll be a benefit for all of them, and hopefully this will kind of like put them on the map, so to speak, really on the map. So
I agree with you, and I'm challenged by it. Meaning that I was listening to an interview with David Justice the other day about and I think it's Matt Kemp on the Pivot.
Yeah.
Very good interview about again, you know, not as many blacks in baseball. And
Right.
Kemp
Yeah.
had a very interesting story coming from Oklahoma, played baseball, played basketball, played football, but him and his dad had this back and forth conversation. So he ended up playing baseball and basketball and foregoing football. And, a lot of his, was interesting. A lot of his friends were saying, man, why are you playing that baseball? Da, 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 da. Play basketball. And his father says, you're 6'4" playing basketball. You could be playing baseball and standing out, right? The basketball thing could or could not, but you're 6'4", right? But you play baseball, and he said, fortunately, very fortunately, it worked out. And so many of his friends, when he saw him get drafted out of high school into the majors, into the baseball MLB, right, they were like, "What? We should have played baseball." And see, this is the other side that a lot of our kids are not recognized. See, to me, that Major League Baseball didn't do that just to be Major League Baseball. This is a way for us to create movies, content, to tell the stories that need to be told for the next generation.
Exactly.
It's not time to sit on the laurels, because you and I grew up in a time where we could catch a little history and a little flavor. But these kids don't know haven't seen or heard any of that. That's why they don't even know the first game we were allowed in was baseball. It wasn't football. It wasn't basketball. It was baseball. That was our game. And, so, we need to come out with creative ways and content and all that good stuff to educate, re-educate, and re-inspire the next generation. Because a lot of these kids don't know. You can go from high school to the majors. You can do it. If you got the talent, you can do it. You don't have to play basketball.
Well, what about the new NFL?
The new NFL, my friend, is as simple as this. Younger is you got the. This is how we've seen it. This is the way. This is the game now. Get in as early as you can, make as much money as you can, because the probability of you doing a 10-year career ain't gonna happen. And it's actually, listening to Mr. Kemp, is happening in all sports. The owners are going younger because there's a greater timeline of success. So, for instance, Luka will probably be signing the biggest max contract at 25 because of his production. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wemby at 19, all things being equal, by the time he's 22, 23, 24, will probably become the first NBA billionaire. So it's a new game all the way across the board. It's younger, you produce sooner, you get more money. So like in the NFL, the average is 3-4 years. I think what's been happening the last couple of years is guys realizing, hey, I've made enough money. I don't need to play 10 years. I can save my body. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that trend continue as it becomes a young man's game. It really does. It becomes a young man's game. Especially 18 NFL, 18 games. Oh, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's rough. That's hard duty, brother. That's hard duty. So that is what I see that is the new NFL, new NBA, new MLB. Back, buddy. Back to you.
All right. So I'm going to talk about something that's been alarming, and that's the perils of youth sports and officials. I mean, uh, it's been like between a youth league football coach being shot to death in Texas,
Yeah, that's
you
crazy.
know, to coaches and players kicking and pummeling a female ref in a basketball game in Indiana.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's just getting out of hand, and officials are quitting in droves because of the escalating abuse from parents and coaches.
Yeah.
You know, and this is putting the future of youth sports at risk because these guys don't want to do it because it's an occupational hazard. You know,
Yeah.
and the high rate of experienced officials quitting is catching the eye of the NCAA because that's going to affect their pipeline to higher level officiating. You know, so 22 states have modified existing laws to try to protect these officials.
Yeah.
You know, by banning parents and coaches for future events. You know, and some are talking about 99 years in prison, depending on the state and the severity. You know,
Because they're
so
messing up the money. They're messing up the money.
it's always about the money.
Always about the money.
But the sad part is, like, some of these like officials, like for these youth leagues, some of them are parents that are just volunteering.
Yeah.
You know, and they got to take this kind of abuse.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, and it's getting violent.
Yeah.
It's getting violent, and these parents are supposed to be setting an example for their kids. You know, and they're acting up worse than the kids.
Worse than the kids. They're actually ruining the game because many of these parents, some of these parents, are living vicariously through their children. They were never gifted athletically, but their kids are, and so they're over the top.
Yeah, Darnell calls them trophy kids.
There we go. There you go. You know, and it's a sad state of affairs. But everyone's looking at the money because I got a friend, and maybe we can get him to come on. He graduated from Ohio State, Dr. Frankie Collins, and boy, he was part of Grambling. With Todd Bowles, they're good friends, and the stories. Maybe I'm gonna talk to Dr. Frankie if we can get him on. The stories he has of high school, college kids, and the trauma that they're under. He talks about a class where I don't know what topic he was talking about, but some of the players in the room started to break down and cry because many of these kids are set up as the meal ticket for their family. They may not even want to play, but it's their way out for the family, and just the pressure and the demands, and and it's I'm gonna see if I can get them to come on now that you bring this up, because it needs to be told and it needs to be heard.
Perfect example, Todd Marinovich.
Yeah, and the sad thing about really that situation with Todd Marinovich, probably with less pressure, he could have lived up to his potential because he was a great quarterback. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just his dad
ruined it.
Yeah, the overbearingness. Yeah. The overbearing. Yep.
So what's going on with the new college sports?
Man, I really kind of touched on that before. The real college sports right now is, again, I'm gonna kind of meld these two together because people have been like, oh, babe, what do you think about Caitlin, and what do you think about Shea and Stephen Smith and McNutt? I say, listen, we've been here before. They're like, what are you talking about? I said, when the ABA and the NBA couldn't make enough money, they realized they needed Dr. J to merge the leagues to save it. Doctor saved it. Larry and Magic came, saved the league again. The old heads hated Magic, hated Bird because they were totally different than the old guard. Like Magic said, players never had a relationship with the owner of the team. It was a hostile relationship, but
Yep.
they were a new breed. So they saved the league again.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan came, saved the league again,
Mm-hmm.
right? Took it global, right? Kobe comes, takes it even more global, right? The dream teams of the 90s. You see what I'm saying? So what you keep having over a period of time as technology advances and opportunities increase, it becomes a new league. So the WNBA are really in a situation right now. I don't know if their current leadership can keep up with the growth. I think she may be out of her league. She may need to get somebody, and she's had 2 years to figure this out. But I think with the new class of player and the style of player, I guarantee, I'll say this right here again. After the midseason of the WNBA, those young girls that have come in are going to put on a show.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, are they going to put? Because somebody said, well, did you see how Angel Reese was grabbed by her neck? I said, what that is a player realizing she can't compete anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you hear all this hate and bumping of Caitlyn, they know, man, when this game that slows down for her and she figures this out, she's going to be dropping 40 on people's head every night because the girl can play. And many other young ladies can play. Like that girl, Asia Moore, right? 2-time this, 2-time that. I said, now she finally gets this U deal. Again, I think the ladies are going to figure out our biggest hindrance in the WNBA is that we haven't marketed ourselves very well. Let's just keep it a buck. Because when you hear Jerry West and those guys talk about how they had to go on the street and encourage people to come to the game, you know what I mean? And this is just what it is. It's business. You got to put a product out there that people are going to want, and they have it. But I don't know if this current leadership of the WNBA, they can tame this tiger, because I'm telling you, midway to the end of the season, those young ladies who are in there now, the league is not looking the same now. Joe, let me give you the joke. I'm watching ladies basketball because they're more physical than the men.
Yeah. And they're not crying to the refs and looking for the call.
Thank you. They're not flopping. I'm like, Joe, I'm like, this is crazy. I'm actually watching these girls is battling. They throwing elbows. I'm like, this is more entertaining than the men. We're just doing this while people go to the basket, doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like, man. So that's my 2 cents of the WNBA and the new world of college sports. And I think even college sports, and especially women's college sports, is going to take another leap forward in allowing players to play their game and not be so restricted in the college, right? Because you wonder, like, man, this guy was in college. He wasn't doing work like this, like he's doing in the pros, because they restrict you in some programs. And sometimes you get to the pros, you get to be who you are. See what I'm saying? So I think that's what's happening with these young ladies. You know, you're going to start seeing coaching systems change and let them be them, because it's a more marketable product.
Well,
so those are my 2 cents, 5 cents, a nickel, and a penny.
Well, we'll take it up next week.
Next week, same bad channel, same bad time. Smarterfan family, you know what we always say, stay in the game. We're going to talk about Formula One next week. Stay tuned.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Smarterfan.